VSHONEN is a real. Kind of unofficially according to Kuro, but as of yesterday or today, depending on your time zone, Vshojo has an official male member, which I think is kind of a big deal. So when most people think about agency VTubers, they think about the big three names: Hololive, NIJISANJI, and Vshojo, with Vshojo being the only one that was still female only. And even though there are so many agencies that are still female only and intend to stay like that, I feel like in Vshojo's case in particular, it's kind of huge. Because what I think that makes Vshojo so much different from other agencies is talent freedom. Like, they own their IP, they are in charge of everything, they don't have to do anything they don't want to, and they're just completely free to do whatever and make whatever kind of content they want to make. Like, they're not limited by the same things as people in NIJISANJI, Hololive, or similar recruitment agencies are. Because in the end, for those companies, the talent is just someone that plays a character for the entertainment and is just like on a contract. Well, for Vshojo, the agency actually hires an existing talent and lets them continue what they do. Or in a few cases now with Henya and Kuro, it's a completely new person that already has a lot of experience in the industry and can start from scratch with the help of Vshojo to give them kind of like an advantage that matches their talent. And if in the end they decide that Vshojo is no longer the place that they fit in with, they can go, as we have seen with Febe, Silverveil, and Nanners just earlier this year. So to have a male VTuber with as much freedom as that in a spot with so many eyes as Vshojo, I feel like that will bring on a very good change for male VTubers. So like when VTuber just started, it was mostly a lot of girls trying it out because that was mostly the culture. And even though male VTubers were already a thing in Japan, it took a long time for that to get the same amount of traction in the West. So when NIJISANJI finally debuted LUXIEM, followed by Noctix, and then kept going with like male or mixed waves, it made so many waves for VTubing in general, but also the start of the rise of male VTubers. And then Hololive obviously followed that with Holostars Boys, and even though I feel like they're not as loved and cared for by both the fans and the company as the female branches, I think they're still making a very positive change to the entire scene. Like, male VTubers are at a bit of a weird spot. It's hard to like really pinpoint it, but there's still like an active like dislike, or just that they're being treated differently, even if they're part of a same company, the same wave, or they're friends and they collab together as indies. And even though change is coming, things are looking a lot better. I feel like that change is a bit slow, and it takes a lot of acceptance from not only fellow VTubers, but mostly also the fans. Because in the end, being an entertainer means that you need to gain the favor of the public. That doesn't mean that you need to do everything that your viewers want you to do, because you can always find a different kind of audience. But you can be the best entertainer ever, but if there's a large portion of your potential viewership that has an opinion about something that doesn't really align with what you're doing, that's gonna be hard. And in some cases, that is that a lot of VTuber fans don't like male VTubers or guys in general. Like, a lot of people are just scared for their Oshi to interact with a guy. And obviously this is kind of more present in Hololive and like similar agencies, and not as much as in Vshojo because the girls collab with guys all the time. But to see a guy being part of a big agency, thus having more chance to also like collab with other big names potentially from agencies, I feel like it could create a similar wave that LUXIEM and Noctix made early in the days in 2021 already. It has been 2 years. Yeah, it has been that long. And even though it might not be as a tsunami as they were, it's still a good thing. And maybe it can show other agencies that you don't have to stay female only to stay relevant, to keep growing. Agencies are free to do what they want to, obviously. But to see a more like gender diversity in general in VTubing, and this means that they're just also guys, which sounds kind of backwards, I know, but I feel like that breaking kind of like a circle where VTubing was seen as like a female, like idol only thing, where now it's becoming more like, hey, I'm just a creator, and instead of a camera, I'm using a VTuber model. And to see more openness towards that, which I feel like Vshojo is also making waves in, not per se because of what they're doing, but because of they're doing it with so many eyes on them, and they're taking advantage of their freedom, which in turn also allows indies to follow suit, because I think a lot of people are holding back by what agency VTubers are doing and like, oh, this is the only way I can be a VTuber. I have to be like this. And that's just not the case. And as someone who is non-binary, I have seen so little like really big VTubers that are not male or female. Like obviously we have Yusan who uses they them pronouns and is kind of ambiguous about that gender, but I don't know. I hope that breaking the circle where things have to be like, oh, it has to be female only, can eventually lead to more openness to anyone joining anything. And that you don't have to conform to what everyone accepts or expects for it to be successful or for a company to be successful. Because in the end, all these agencies are still companies. And what do companies do? They want to make money and be successful and grow. And that's in a way a good thing, because otherwise people will not get paid. But it's also a bad thing in a way, because it does come at the cost of things. And in VTubing, that just means that it comes at the cost of the talents or potential talents, because there's so many people out there that just can't join because there are certain limits that companies want to set. And I don't know, it can be something very small, like an all-female agency having one male talent, and maybe there will be more following. Like, who knows? But the fact that it's now clear that there's a possibility just feels really good. Like I said, it won't be a tsunami like Luxiem and Noctix are the first wave of English holostars, but it comes back to what I have said about Vshojo in the past, that they kind of feel like an indie plus agency, where you have the freedom of an indie, but with a company behind you that can help you with like technology, with merch, with other opportunities that can do things for you, while you still are the one in control with all of the freedom. Like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. And honestly, that also just makes me want to see more companies like Vshojo pop up, where someone can just join and stay who they are, bring over their entire audience, or also if they need to reincarnate into a new name, a new model, and still get the help they need and honestly deserve to fit their talent capacities. Because let's be real, content creation is a hard job, and especially if you have to do everything by yourself. Like, if you have to stream, make videos, edit them, host your merch, and make sure that your model is on point, everything is commissioned, doing it completely on your own. Like, for even the most talented people, that will take a toll. Like, that will bottleneck you. So it's nice to see that there are places like Vshojo, and I hope future agencies that will do something similar, that can provide the benefits of a company without taking away the freedom of the talent. Because in the end, I think that creates the best content, that creates the best streamers. And I know a lot of people are biased towards indie VTubers because, oh my god, they did everything on their own. But I do think even those indie VTubers, if they had like a dedicated team behind them, would benefit from it so much. What I'm trying to say is that I hope that like this one ripple that Vshojo is now creating can open doors, can help with the general public opinion of male VTubers, but also just companies like Vshojo in general. For a lot of people, joining a big agency like NIJISANJI or Hololive is their absolute dream. While I also think that it's not cut out for everyone. Aside from going indie and hoping that you'll make it, there doesn't seem to be anything to reach for right now. Something as big as that. It doesn't feel like there is something big like that you can aim for that's not a system like NIJISANJI or Hololive. Like, Vshojo currently seems to be like only hiring friends or friends of friends. And even though they did auditions, I don't think that's their way to go anymore. And honestly, I completely understand working with people you trust. It makes everything just a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. So right now, it just feels like the only way to the top is going indie and just hope for the best, which for a lot of people is very hard to do, because having to do everything from scratch all by yourself, because a lot of people don't have like the backup and the money or the knowledge to do a lot of things, even though they could be big creators because they're talented. I hope that the waves Vshojo are making are allowing other companies like that to also like sprout and allow that bigger goal to exist for VTubers and entertainers that want to be VTubers, aside from NIJISANJI and Hololive and other agencies that have a similar system where you're hired to play a character that was already made. And I feel like that could be restrictive for a lot of people. Anyway, those are a lot of thoughts about several different subjects, but boiling it all down, it still comes back to it's a good thing that Vshojo hired a male VTuber. Like, it's an incredible good thing, and it will bring positivity and like good waves to the general VTuber sphere. And I'm also just happy to see Kuro happy. I don't know, there's something familiar and homely about him that I'm glad that he's having a good time and he has a place amongst friends. I feel like having discussions like these and just talking about stuff that often gets not talked about, or it ends up being in Twitter threads or Twitlongers, or people using the topic to engagement farm on Twitter. Having an open conversation about the state of male VTubing, the state of VTubing in general, in like companies like NIJISANJI and Hololive shouldn't be the end all be all dream for everyone, because I think a lot of people deep down know that even though it's really cool, especially if you want to work with your Oshis, it's not cut out for everyone. Not everyone will be happy, and let's be real, it's finite because it's still a company job. And how many people nowadays stay happy at a company job for more than a few years? I just hope that the ripples that are being made nowadays will open up opportunities for independent creators to also make it big, whether this is an indie or contracted with an agency that actually lets them still be independent in a way, because that's the type of diversity that's also really important in the entertainment sphere. I can keep going on with this topic for a long time, and I love having conversations about it with friends and also our stream chat. So I hope that we can kind of discuss this on the stream sometime. And if not, it's also good. But you can use the comment section below to air your thoughts, air your opinions about the matter, and what you think about Vshojo hiring a male member. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like, obviously, I've told you my opinion and why I think it will be good, but you might have other opinions. I want to hear about all of them. And yeah, I do genuinely hope you enjoyed this video, regardless whether you agree with me or not. And if you like me talking about this stuff, consider subscribing to me, because I do want to do more talking pieces like this than just reacting to VTuber lore and VTuber music and other like more easygoing VTuber content, because talking about important topics is important. That's why they're important topics. That and like having a conversation instead of trying to engagement bait about the topic or writing a Twitter thread, because in the end it's so limited and it's so easy to start pointing fingers, or people interpret that you're pointing fingers. It just stirs a lot of, it's not drama, it's like discomfort in people, and it can easily just blow up because everyone just misunderstands each other. So just keep having conversations, people. Keep talking about it. It's a good thing. And I think if we keep talking to each other, like, the drama will also lessen. I don't know where I'm trying to go with that, but yeah, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.